Yeah, so we are back and we are live.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for accepting this. Um, I don't take it for granted. And as
Mm-hmm.
I wait for people to join, yeah, so tell me, you're telling me you're a biochemist and you're also a parental, yeah.
Yes. Um,
Mm,
my career, what I've done since I went to university is biomedical sciences. So now I went into government as a biochemist.
okay.
However,
Mm,
me, my
mm,
interest,
mm.
my myself, I have always had interests in the area of emotional health, mental health, a
Okay.
people person really. I remember when I was in campus, when I entered campus like this, immediately I went to gender. I went to the
Oh,
Gender Institute and I was very, very active in it. And
mm,
then my classmates used to ask me, Paris, what are you? You are a scientist. What are you doing in gender? What are you doing there? So that was my real self. Yani ile passion yangu kabisa. We can say like that. You get. So I went on that till now. So I've been building that up until now,
okay.
until when it transited into a
Yeah.
transformation life coach. Yes. So I had
Oh,
to undergo some training and transit into
oh,
that while
all
still
right.
keeping yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
mhm,
and so that is Perry Swambugu. Yeah, she's
yes,
our guest today, and we are looking forward into learning because this is one of those topics that are very sensitive, not easy for most parents to talk about, and sometimes it's just that we don't know even what to say. So today we are
mhm,
going to discuss on how we are going to handle the different hurdles when it comes to parenting. For teenage girls and boys, and we are going to go into different sessions. We are going to discuss on sexual debut and teenage pregnancy, homosexuality, pornography, alcohol and drug abuse, and the fourth thing is the freedom of choice. So starting with the sexual debut and teenage pregnancy.
yes,
We did a talk uh, 2 weeks ago on early sexual debut, and in Kenya, it's at 16 years.
mhm,
Now, one of the biggest issue has been lack of sexual health education
yes,
from parents to their children, to their teenagers, to their sons and boys. So
yes,
how do we have, maybe very briefly because we have talked about this, but how do we have that openness to actually be
mhm,
able to comfortably discuss sexual health with our boys and girls?
yes. Now, your child doesn't just become a teenager overnight. They were infants, then toddlers, then
Yeah.
that school going
Mm,
age, then teenagers. So
mm,
uh, that trust or the conversations are built over time.
yeah.
You just don't bump into them. You know,
Mm,
do you know what sex is? Do you know? No, no, no.
mm,
You start gradually from
mm,
this song that the 3-year-olds like to sing. These are my private parts. Do not touch. And they
mm,
touch all my private parts, and they show that. So
mm,
as long as a child has reached an age of understanding and
mm,
understanding private part, do not
mm,
touch. Now that is
mm,
when you start opening up to them the world of sex, the world of sexuality. And
mm,
the next question, apart from that, a child will start asking, where did I come from? So, what
yeah,
answer do you give them? Do you
yeah,
lie to them? Do you cheat them? Back then, parents used to give a lot of answers. You were dropped by I don't know which bad, I don't know, I beat you in the hospital. And children
mm,
used to sit outside there. My mom has bought another baby, and that
yeah,
kind of thing. And I
mm,
remember um, a person who's very close to me when the son asked the mother, where did you get my sister? I brought her from the hospital. And then
mm,
the third born now was born when that son was there. So he was
yeah,
about 6 years, and
mm,
so it was in the rural area. So the mom
mm,
now to call other women. So he sent the boy, you go and call this woman and this woman, tell them to come very fast. And they came and they took the mother behind the house where there's a nice grass patch, and she had a baby. So now the son now asks the mom, Mom, why did you lie to me? You told me our second born, you bought her in hospital. But I had you I saw you giving birth. He didn't actually see, but he saw what happened. And the mother actually now came with a baby. So of course now you have seen where trust has been broken. At that point, I cannot trust you. You lied to me. You told me second born, you bought her, but I saw and I had the process. And I saw that, the baby, and the baby came out of your body. You did not buy the baby. So from that kind of background, even in adult or in teenagehood, the child will not be so with the parents to ask questions, because the child has already learned, my parent does not tell me the truth. So what do you tell? Do you tell the truth to your child? Can your teenage child come up to you and tell you, or your husband, like, hey, Dad, there is this girl in my class. My mind cannot get out of her. It's like I have a crush on her. Dad, what do I do about it? Can your 13-year-old ask you that question? Can they ask? Are they that free with you? You know? But are there barriers to communication? So that communication begins all the way from childhood, how attached you are to that child, then it grows into teenagehood and then into adulthood. So that this time they're telling you, you know what? Like my 11-year-old was telling me, right? The girls, they have been receiving notes from the boys and that kind of thing. So is there also, and so told me they love me. Mom, what do I do about it? So are you free with your children in that way? Yes. It's built time.
So it means that every parent needs to make sure that they're in the lives of their children. I think that's what you're saying. And they need to. And always, as we say, never lie to your children. Please, never lie. I mean, you'd rather say you don't know as you try to collect your mind just to see, okay, what am I supposed to answer here? Because I know sometimes some question will just come out of nowhere and you're like, oh my God. Yeah, what am I supposed to say? You'd rather say, I don't know, or wait first, and then you make sure you think through, choose the right words, and tell them. But never lie. Because you see, if you lie, they'll always find out the truth and it will not go very well.
And there is no shame in talking about these topics to your children at all. And you have rightly said that I've told my children I don't have the answers all the time, or I don't have answers to everything. So it's okay, they know that. And then when they can remember, or you can remember the topic and now you have the answer, you can bring it back to them. So now you just have this flow of information and yes.
And that tells you that parenting, you need to study. You see, all the days unasema tu sijui something just to end conversations. You really need to study, invest, and all that. So now we go to the second bit, which is now the drug use and alcohol use, because that is also one of the biggest issues that we have right now.
Yes.
Especially here with our teenagehood. I'll just go through some studies that I read.
Okay.
Number one, 85% of secondary school adolescents or teenagers have tested alcohol. 85%. Like that's almost 9 out of 10 children, adolescents have tested alcohol. And 4 out of 10 are heavy drinkers. 4 out of 10 adolescents are heavy drinkers. That is so bad. And the reason have been, of course, the parents. Number one, they've been exposed to alcohol very early at home. And then some parents actually take their children to drinking areas and they see them drinking and they see how the alcohol gets effect to their to their minds, and they say how happy they become after getting drunk. So
Yeah.
automatically the message is actually this is a good thing. And of course now the peer pressure, because if 8 out of 10 have tasted alcohol, trust me, that one
Mm,
really to have a very strong mindset not to be part of that statistics.
yeah.
So Paris,
Uh-huh.
issue of being exposed to alcohol at a very young age. You find a mom or a dad who both drink alcohol and they allow alcohol into their homes. How do
Uh-huh.
we make sure? How do we? Able just tell me how do we go about that? Do we say no alcohol in the house, or do we say okay? I mean, how? Okay, I just want to hear from you. How do we balance that equation?
Um, Now that is where, because what usually happens, monkey see, monkey do. The
Yeah.
children just take what we model in
Mm,
front of them.
yeah.
Usually, they
Yeah.
will take, okay.
Mm,
However, when you say 85% have tasted alcohol, not
mm,
all of them will transit
yeah.
into drink.
Into
Okay,
drinking.
so there are those who will taste and see, this is not
Mm,
my kind of thing, and
mm,
leave it. Okay,
mm,
that
mm,
shows you that there is something in this child that has helped them to make that decision. That
mm.
decision,
That is.
and where does this life skill comes from? Where does this
Mm,
skill comes from? Whereby your child is able to say no even when everyone else is doing it.
yes, yeah.
Have we
Yes.
empowered our child to that level?
Mm-hmm.
Because we cannot monitor your child 24/7. That is what parents need to know. You are
Yeah.
not able to put your child in a handbag or something like that or monitor
Even,
them. You're
yeah.
always you're
Yeah.
monitoring them 24/7. You'll have to
Yeah.
be leaving schools, they'll have to go to functions, they'll have to go to
Mm,
places where there is exposure. So
mm,
have you brought them up to a level where they can stand by themselves
mm,
and see wrong happening? They
mm,
stand and say,
mm.
no, I will
Yeah.
not be part of it. Those,
Yeah.
again, are life skills, and they are taught right from childhood going forward. The
Mm,
ability to know. And how are they taught? By that child feeling secure, by that child feeling secure attachment and feeling
mm,
complete with themselves. And
mhm,
uh, this validation, yeah, the other people,
mm.
it is not so much. They validate themselves. They feel
Yeah.
enough. I am
Yeah.
enough even if I
Yeah.
don't drink. And the whole crowd is drinking. I am
Mm-hmm.
enough even if I
Mm-hmm.
don't have sex. And the whole, or even if I don't do these other
Mm,
things,
mm,
drugs, I am
mm,
enough. So is your
mm,
child to do that?
mm,
How have you brought them up
mm.
such that they are not able to break under the peer pressure? Now, about bringing the alcohol home and
Mm,
that kind of exposure, what conversations do you have with your children, even if
mm,
you're a parent and you drink? I
mm,
will not say it is a bad thing or a good thing, but this
mm,
is who you are.
mhm,
How open are you with that conversation with your child?
mm,
Daddy, ni nini hii unakunywa? Ni soda ya watu wazee. Why can't I drink it? Because ni kali, ni mbaya.
mm,
Now
mm.
you have already built curiosity in that child. They want
Yeah.
to taste hii soda ya
Yeah.
wazee. I remember when
Mm,
you were small, parents used to have all those bashes and what. So after
mm.
they drink their beers, you'll go now and whatever the remaining
Exactly. Yeah, we all did that. True.
and you're
You're just.
taking. However, I realized among that whole group of cousins who used to have those bashes, it's
Mm,
only a particular family who is affected with heavy drug use up to
mm,
now. Most of
mm,
us are doing well. And
mm,
that now goes back to the parenting foundation from the bottom. Because when drug abuse and all that and addictions, they are just like symptoms of something. For example, or the fruits that you reap. You plant a seed and then you expect a certain harvest and then it doesn't come. What will you ask yourself? What did I put in there? Did I put enough water? Did I put enough fertilizer? Same thing with a child. Mbona amekuja into that drug, drug abuse. What else? What did I put in? So and usually there are things that these children are escaping from, whereby now the drugs give them a sense of comfort, a sense of, that high, and they are no longer whenever they are escaping from. So it's just the feel-good chemicals in them. So if it reaches to the stage now of addictions or drug, something that you cannot deal with it, it is good to seek therapy, so that, or when you see the onset, seek therapy, because the matters are deeper than that. It's not just about you aliona nikikunywa. For example, you get two sons from one very alcoholic father, and one of them is daily drunk, very drunk, doesn't do anything right, no family, no job, no, just drinking, and the other one is a straight person, established family, and they all came from the same father who was drunk every day. So then you go asking, even on separate occasions, why don't you drink? And your father is such a drunk. And then the guy will go, but how could I drink with such a father as that? Then now you go to the drunkard boy, son, and you're like, hey, mbona unakuanga mlevi hivi kila siku? Why should I have turned out with a father like that? They have given you the exact same answer. The exact same answer. So really, it's not really because their father drank that they were drunkards. It is the perception, the meaning they attached to that drinking. Made one to be like the father, and another not want to be like the father at all. You get so the meaning that they attach to that. So I think that's what
I really like that. And that, so for example, just taking that family as an example, at what point in time do those two minds actually separate? At what point in time? Because I'm sure it was validation and it was affirming and all that, most likely they put it around the same way. Like, I mean, I want to believe so. Like they just grew up together. So at what point do those two minds actually just deviate completely and become exactly the opposite?
Separate. Wow. Now, this is a little bit complex because we may think that the children have been offered the same atmosphere and they have turned out very different, parallel to one another. And you're thinking, how comes I'm not affected? I don't drink, and we grew up with the same father who drank. You get, but whatever happened, it is inside that child, as the father drank, may have broken one child so much to the level that now his way of escape was following his father. Okay. What happens inside you? Because we usually say trauma is not normally the event, but how you interpret it and what happens inside of you as a result of what happened to you. How do you interpret the situation? You get, and so the other one interpreted maybe the situation, the way I see my dad, I do not want to be a man like that. I want my family to be more stable and this kind of thing. Then the other one is like, no, there is no other way out. I have to,
Follow.
this is how you escape life's problems and life's thing. So how the person interprets the situation. The same home, the same same circumstances, but they interpret the whatever is happening differently. Yeah, so it cannot. Well, that's why we're even told, do not compare children. Do not
Yeah.
just compare, because each perspective thinks in their own ways, and it hits them in a different way. In a different way. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I get it. So how we see things I mean, we can be looking at the same picture, but how we see it and perceive it is completely different.
Completely different.
Okay.
And what it would be wrong now to judge and to condemn this
Mm,
drunk man, to judge him because he's not
yeah.
behaving like this one who is not drinking, and yet all
Mm,
of them are in the same
mm,
circumstance. Si
mm,
hata huyu babake ni mlevi, it's the same father mlevi too. Why are you drinking? Condemning it just makes the situation worse.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that is
So
why we
now,
are therapy.
okay,
Mhm.
sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So now looking at now you us as parents, like we are
Mhm.
parents now.
Yeah,
Now you've taken your son or daughter in secondary school, and maybe you just tried, you did your best
yeah,
and tried to validate. I mean, tried to their family affirmations and all that. You did your part.
yeah.
Now this boy or this girl is in secondary school, then they come here. What are the telltale signs that may tell you that actually my son or my daughter could have fallen into that trap? Like maybe they are now abusing alcohol, or
Mhm.
maybe they are part of a criminal behavior. What are
Yeah.
the things that you should be looking out for in a child to know something is amiss and this is not what I trained this child to be?
Could be. Okay.
Yeah.
So your
Mm,
child come home and probably they were a bubbly person, or there were
mm,
things that they enjoyed to do, you
mm,
know. So now they have suddenly lost interest of
mm,
what they enjoyed to do. So those are
mm,
just the facts, a very hidden. Um, you have to really be
mm,
on the lookout and to note that. Donna,
mm,
this guy maybe loved reading or loved riding the bike. He's not
mm,
doing it anymore. What's happening? There's a
mm,
change in something. So then you
mm,
can question that if you note that. And then why are they keeping to themselves? They are maybe
mm,
always locking up their
yeah.
rooms when
Mm,
isolating themselves. And
mm,
normally that's not how they are. They talk to people, but this time they just want to keep by themselves, and they have
mm,
that thing of surakazi, and
mm,
one word answers, kuja kule,
yeah.
and that, just one word answers them. They are not telling
Yeah.
you anything. A child who used to
Mm,
come and tell you how school was, what
mm,
happened. Now they don't have that. They have kind of
mm,
withdrawn. Then
mm.
their eyes, no eye contact at all. No eye
Oh.
contact. They're trying to keep,
Mm,
it shows like somebody's hiding something.
mm,
So that one
mm,
now you want to dig deeper and know why.
mm,
Are the eyes bloodshot? Are they red?
mm,
This one used to get some people into trouble even when their eyes were naturally red in school.
yeah.
And maybe they were not on drugs. There are kids who have just red eyes, maybe some allergies or something, and then you are giving a suspension because you are on drugs and that kind of thing.
Mm,
So are their eyes bloody, running nose all the time? One of
mm,
them, if maybe it's something they're injecting themselves, they want to hide their arms all the
mm,
time. Even when it's
mm,
hot, somebody's wearing long sleeved and something like that. Then
mm,
focus. Are they, whatever they were doing, are they focused? If a
mm,
person is maybe studying or
mm,
even doing their hobby, have they lost focus? So if you
mm,
check, they have lost focus on the things that they normally do, they know there's
yeah.
there's, there's something terribly wrong. Have their friends changed? Have they
Mm,
they have a new
mm,
set of friends? Or
yeah.
what is happening? What about their grades? How
Mm,
are
mm,
they have they
yeah.
gone down? Those
Mm,
are things that are going to show. Then they break rules and they don't care about it. They just break the rules and suddenly akona a lot of they just don't care and they just break the rules. And
yeah.
kitambo, they used to be
Mm,
very cautious, and they,
mm,
they just want to be to be good. But this time somebody is then that kind of thing. So just breaking the rules and not even bothering. Yes.
Yeah.
The last thing, sleeping. A lot
Mm.
of sleeping and that kind of thing. Yes. If
Okay.
they school, maybe
Mm.
truancy. Some days they're not going to school. Maybe they appear as though they
Mm.
have gone to school, but then you learn later they did not even appear in class. Yeah.
Okay. Now, talking about the breaking of rules. Now, imagine how do you handle, like, you have a 16 or 17-year-old boy or a 17-year-old girl who has been
Mhm.
caught somewhere, and it's actually confirmed that they were part of a criminal. Either they were caught with something that is illegal, could
Mhm.
be could be a weapon, could be drugs, could be anything, but it's true and it's actually confirmed that your son or your daughter has been involved in a criminal activity. So, as a
Yeah.
parent, how do you handle that? Number one, for yourself, and then now for the child.
For yourself first, you just need to breathe and calm down,
Mm,
because anger, the first
mm,
thing you do is to get angry. How can my child, I have given them everything, they have lacked nothing. You start
mm,
justifying yourself.
mm,
I have been there, I have validated, I have ensured they have,
yeah,
all these emotional
mm,
needs. So you
mm,
are on the justifying yourself first, and
mm,
it builds more anger in you, which may make you um, take some actions which are not good, for example. So just bring down your anger first, and then bring that child close to you. What
okay.
happened? Why did
Mm,
you do it? Become
mm,
an investigator.
mm,
What were you with? How did you plan this? How did you
mm,
execute? You know?
mhm,
So bring the child closer to you, and usually if you bring them closer, and
mm,
if there has been that relationship from the beginning, they're going to open up to you, and
yeah,
they're either going to be remorseful or something normally. And if
mm,
not, now is when now you have to explain to them, if you do this thing, this is illegal, these
mm,
are the
mm,
consequences. Okay. So as a parent, there you can choose whether um, to forgive at that level, and if it that whatever repeats, tell them the
mm,
law is going to take its
God,
consequence,
yeah,
and I am not going to be there to get you out of the cell
okay,
or
mm,
anything. Okay,
mm,
so they have to be responsible over their lives. Okay,
okay,
then
mm,
yes, just show them what are the consequences of doing this. If it is
mm,
something you stole,
mm,
can you return it? How can you pay for it? How can you work so that
mm,
you pay for it?
mm,
How will you ensure you take responsibility for your
mm.
action?
Yes, okay, okay,
Yes, we need to be tough love. Yes. Mm.
okay,
Kind
okay.
of tough love. Yes.
Yeah. So that means if you have an 18, 19-year-old boy who has been caught, a girl or boy who has
Yes.
been caught, and yes. So if they're sentenced to jail, that means do you do anything about it? Do you intervene? Do you let them be like, okay, go, and unfortunately that is what, or do you try as much as you can to protect them? As in, where is that boundary? Because I know we've had this discussion. At what point in time do you like to your child, okay, if you did something, then it's okay. You'll have to go to jail, and there's nothing as a mom or dad I'm gonna do. Or do
Okay.
you go, okay, I have to pay something so that my son goes back
Is
home?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um, what I have observed, the people who keep on bailing their children out,
Hmm.
their children always repeat, and they
Okay.
keep bailing them out of a long
Okay.
period of time. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but if this is happening for the first time, and I'm sure you haven't really gotten into any other, juvenile situation such as
Mm,
that,
mm, mm,
I will allow you some 2 days in there if that is what it takes. Some
Mm,
2 days, okay?
mm,
And
mm,
then at that point, I come and bail you out. But I will
mm.
be very firm with you and tell you if this happens again, you are
Yeah.
on your own. You are on
Okay.
your own. Yes.
Okay.
But you have
Okay.
to see how that inside looks like.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
2 days. Yes. But
Mm,
if it happens, I have bailed you out this time. But son, if it happens again, you are on your own. Yes. Because now
okay.
it's your
Yeah, yeah. That
life.
is so true. Wow.
Yeah. Mm.
Thank you. So now we go to the third bit, which is rather the very sensitive topic, and that's about pornography,
Yeah.
homosexuality, and
Mhm.
masturbation.
Yes.
Um, it's unfortunate, but with technology, there are so many pros, and also there are so many cons.
Yeah.
And the cons are purely exposing the moral fabric that we have as families, as community, as a nation. The rise
Uh-huh.
of pornography has been like the internet, the easy accessibility of data, internet has been
Yes.
the primary reason of the very high rise of pornography and all the things that come because of exposure to
Uh-huh.
pornography at a young age. That means kids are, you see kids masturbating because they are trying to see, like to
Yes.
imitate whatever they have been
Mhm.
exposed to. And even
Mhm.
the rise of homosexuality has been associated with pornography because people see, people try, people like, and people choose that as a lifestyle. And homosexuality has been shown to be a result of socialization. It's not biological. Okay, it's a result of socialization. That means it's the people you've been associated with, it's the choices that you make, it's the
Yes.
friends you keep that eventually expose you to homosexuality.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the boarding schools, especially the all boys boarding school, it's one of those areas that have been condemned to be a place where these young boys, a Form 1 boy goes there, and one of the things that they come out of there is about homosexuality. Sometimes it's abuse, sexual abuse, and some things just go unnoticed. And because of the kind of homes we have, this boy comes from home, comes from school, comes back home. They have no one to share with their whatever is happening to their school, and eventually you see your boy changing and drifting towards this other side.
Uh-huh.
So now, the first thing is, of course, education. How do you bring this topic in a
Yes.
conversation with your son or with your daughter?
Uh-huh.
Because the gayism, in terms of being a male homosexual, and then there's the lesbianism, being
Yeah.
a girl homosexual.
Mm.
How how do you even start that conversation with your girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these conversations are a bit difficult, and we are not used to having them, especially in our settings as Africans. How do you start that out? Okay.
Mm,
So again, as I said, if from childhood going up, you have been open to that child, it's it will make things a little bit easier for you to have these conversations. And some of them may happen even before the teenagehood, just because of a child may come and tell you, I've
mm,
seen something like two girls kissing.
yeah.
Mom, how is that?
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And at that point, now you are able to guide the child and tell them, usually it was not meant to be like that. And now you
mm,
can now have that conversation. So when you're releasing your child to Form 1, your boy or your girl, do they
mm,
know what do they know what might happen to them? Do they know what to expect?
mm.
Also, there are some people, some children who are introduced to homosexuality at their homes
It's true.
from
It's very
childhood.
true. Mm,
Somebody you let your daughter maybe share a bed with house help, with even your auntie or her niece or something
Mm.
like that, and or even a boy and an uncle.
Mm. Mm.
Somebody who told me my uncle wanted to turn me into a woman, and these
Mm.
are people that you trust,
Yeah.
that wenye amekuja, ebu mtalala na yeye, you
Mm.
get. So I
Mm.
think parents have to be very vigilant and make arrangements just to ensure that such things don't happen, and that even the communication is open, such that a child will tell you, Mom, something funny happened when I was sleeping with Auntie last night. She started
Mm.
touching. And when a
Mm.
child says something like that, do not know,
Please.
my sister cannot do that to you. My
Yeah.
sister
Yeah.
is saved. She's niwa choir. And and that kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
when you do that, you have chosen to trust
You see.
somebody
Yeah.
else
Not.
over your child. So again, dig deeper and try to find out. And if I hear such a thing like that, make a very quick decision to please go back to your home.
Mm.
Patia
Mm.
mtu pia mpeleke stage
Yes.
arudi tulitoka. Okay,
Yeah.
and then after that, now you start like bringing your child close to you, and
Mm.
and and um, and giving them some form of therapy and some form
Mm.
of compassion, and show
Mm.
them it should not have happened that way.
Yeah.
And you are still enough, because those are the things now that break them further, such that by the time they go to school,
Mm.
they already nobody even cares, let me. Okay,
Yeah.
the same thing happens when a child goes to form 1. Akirudi, what does he tell you? What is going on in school? Do you know? Do you have these conversations with your child?
Mm.
Is there lesbianism? Is there homosexualism? What is happening? Has he been harassed? Has he been abused? Is there an open
Mm.
conversation in your home? Is there free expression? Ama
Mm.
akiongea utasema, I really want to transfer from that school. You'll be, no, I paid a lot of money. We used
Yeah.
over 200,000 to get.
Yes. Mm.
There's
Yeah.
something you have blocked in that child. They'll never tell you anything.
Okay.
You'll
That's
just be surprised now when your child has
mm.
turned out to a full-blown homosexual,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you blocked whatever they were trying to tell you. Yeah,
Mm.
because you have paid a lot of money, there's no way you can, and
Mm.
because this thing is also rampant in schools, what you might even move them from one school to another school, which is worse.
Yeah.
So also prepare your child and build their inner strength, some life skills, just to
Mm.
ensure that now they're able to stand, by
Mm.
themselves. But if it has gotten to that level where mtoto amejaribu to do what it takes, if and they're still, the situation is still there,
Mm.
I'd rather now get them out of that
Mm.
school, and even take them to school which is near. They can be coming home, and you are able to monitor that. Yes,
Mm.
because now at that level, then there's a point you said it is not biological. I have
Mm.
been a teacher before I working with government, and I
Mm.
want to say we had a girl in school
Mm.
who was she was a lesbian, but it was not because of her wanting. Okay.
Mm.
Now, if we go to her history, this is a
Mm.
person who was born with genitals.
Okay. Yeah, that is
Okay.
different.
And
Yeah. Mm.
it happens.
Mm.
So
Yes, it does.
what happened is had a uterus. So
Mm.
early childhood, they removed the male organ, and here she is, a girl. What happens
Mm.
at the onset of adolescence? She starts breaking her voice. In fact,
Mm.
before I got used, I could go to class and then she speaks to the very nice girl. I was like, oh, where is the boy? I'm having a man. Then I realized ni fulani, and then now I calm down.
Mm.
So she broke her voice, her walking style, everything. They used to play it. So ni zile lines za machali, very nice lines and everything. So she was basically
Mm.
a boy or a
Yeah.
man, which
Yeah.
showed up at the age of 13 when the hormones now started doing their job.
Mm.
And then automatically she will be attracted to other girls.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
she had been expelled in like 2 schools before she came to this school because of being a lesbian. You
Mm,
get? So
mm,
what happened is I just gathered the girls, the rest of the girls. It wasn't a school. And I did not tell them that, oh, she was born with 2 genitals. No, 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 no. No. I just
mm,
saw them. So all girls were born with a bit of male hormones, and sometimes they can be more. Okay, they
mm,
can be more. Like that time, the case of Semenya was all over.
yeah.
Okay, so
Mm,
now I was using Semenya as an example.
mm,
You see, you guys, you know Semenya, yes. And
mm,
the way she's running like a boy and all, so it can happen to anybody. And so
mm,
this girl will automatically be attracted to you other girls.
mm,
So it is upon you girls now to be able to say,
mm.
no, we are not going to, we'll be friends, but not that deep friendship.
Yeah.
Okay? You'll be able now to protect yourself and to protect your, because
Mm,
now you understand where she's coming from.
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have some cases which
Mm,
are
yeah.
biological. Yes.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I really
Mhm.
do understand that and I appreciate that. But usually, what we always say, once
Yeah.
when you're with, okay, depending maybe with where you're born, but ideally, when you have such issues, they're usually picked from a very young
Uh-huh.
age. And usually,
Yeah.
okay, they're a bit costly, but usually the ideal way is for your parents or the doctors to be able to actually see your genes to see is it an XX, is
Mhm.
it an XY, or is it now a
Okay.
combination? Okay.
Yes.
So when we talk about homosexuality, at least in this context, it's for those
Yes.
who are X, like a pure girl who
Pure
decides to
girl, but style.
exactly
Ah,
decides
I'm
to,
getting also.
or an
Yeah.
XY who decides to, okay?
Yes.
And thank you for
Yes.
bringing that up so that people don't get it confused. That yes, it
Mhm.
is true that they are called actually hermaphrodites. They are born
Yes.
eugenically, but usually most of the time there is one that is dominant.
Yeah.
But to see the dominance is not just the organs, it's actually just to see the
Mhm.
genetic makeup,
The,
your own genetic
the,
makeup, to
yeah.
confirm are you an XX, are you an XY, or do you have an overlap? Okay.
Okay.
The earlier it is done, the better, so that you
Mhm.
don't get confused. But I know sometimes in Africa it's very expensive, and
Very, very
so
expensive.
it's
Mm.
easy to go and notice, especially you see in our culture, we don't even want to imagine that, let alone starting investigating. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's one of
Uh-huh.
those. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that
Again,
up.
again, I have seen, especially girls, if they saw their dad abusing their mom in ways which was, they have a
Mm,
certain fear of boys and men, and
yes.
they don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
So they start cultivating love for other girls, and they think it is more safer. It just the mind is trying to protect itself from
Mm,
no, from what I saw my mom going through. I don't
mm,
want to be associated with a man in my life, and it comes out so strongly such that the girl want to get into, same-sex relationship or something like that. So I think
yeah.
this things need a deeper,
Mm,
quite deeper
yeah.
outlook. Yes, a deeper look.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Mm,
is true.
mm.
And I think that comes to the childhood traumas because
Yes.
if you don't have those internal healings, then we are
Mm,
going to do so many things. And most people will be judgmental because we just don't understand why you are not fitting into this equation of life as we'd
mm-hmm.
expect. So,
Yeah,
yes, as you
when
say,
I see even women, my age mates, they just switching over like, nimechoka na wanaume. Phew, they just switch over, and
to just,
and they go all in. They just go all in. You get, yeah.
yeah,
So
it is
yeah,
true. It is very
yeah.
true. So, so
Mm,
what you mean is for a child, it is not right. But
yeah.
when that happens, it's instead of you reacting, try to respond, try to find,
Mm,
understand which shoe is this child
right.
fitting in exactly,
Exactly.
and now start from there to try to walk him out of that situation. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know times it's purely punishment and being called names and being,
Yeah.
see, like an outcast. Like how can you even, how do you even conceptualize such a thought, let alone even acting? But as you
Uh-huh.
say, there is a deeper issue, and
Yeah.
whatever is just the fruit. So
Mm.
how do we make sure that, okay, apart, how do we make sure that we don't have such occurrences in our families? You've said one of them is like the abuse from mom or dad or mom. So how do
Yeah.
we make sure that we bring our children who are protected from, is it protected or who are empowered? I think it's empowered. Who should be empowered to handle those things of, for example, masturbation, pornography,
Uh-huh.
homosexuality from a young
Okay.
age, when they're at home, let alone when they start going to school and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, there is a way you can protect the digital space or what comes to your children on phone. So I think we have experts who are, teaching parents, go do this, so that maybe they do not access some sites.
Yeah.
Um, or what they are actually accessing. You can monitor them. And
Mm,
again, we also need to be very, very keen with their conversations. Some of them are in passing. They can just be in,
mm,
maybe
yeah.
somebody saw two men making out in the in
Mm,
the in the or kwa mtaa huko, and a
mm,
child just said, "Haya, imagine I saw this and that and that." If you
mm,
hear the parent, don't just leave it as that. What did the child think of about it? Is
mm,
it,
mm,
Ebu, tell me what else you saw. Ebu, come, bring them closer, make the space, you know, open for them to
mm,
talk. What did you see? I saw two
mm,
guys. They were kissing. Yes, and
mm,
is it really good? Is it really normal? How did you? What do you think about it? You know,
yeah.
ask questions, and now from that, now you're able to guide them and tell them
Mm,
naturally things should not be like
mm,
that when you grow up. The
mm,
person you extend that kind of love to should be a person of the, or
mm,
opposite
yeah.
sex. So allow them to ask questions and answer them and that kind of thing. Mm.
Okay.
And
Now,
protect the digital space.
yeah, okay. Now, as
Yeah.
a parent, like now you're a mother and a mom, a dad, like you have these
Mhm.
values in your home and all that. Then I
Yeah.
don't know. Unfortunately, your child is caught up in the homosexuality. How do
Uh-huh.
you do things? How do you love your child but not love the action? Like not love their choice.
Yeah.
how,
Now
how how
that
how do you do that? How do you do that?
that is the most trickiest, because I keep on thinking, if this goes this way, your child is still your child, first of
Oh,
all.
yeah. Mm,
You have spoken to them, you have had dialogue. Dialogue is, they speak, you speak, you listen to one another, not you. I don't want to see you doing, with those rainbow things. Sitaki kukuona na
exactly.
hizo rainbow and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. You're just talking. You talk to one another, you listen to one another, you hear each other out. So if that has already happened and they still keep their stand, keep their stand.
Mm,
Mom, and yet the way I'm seeing, this
yeah.
is who I am. I feel,
Mm, mm,
they'll talk and tell you things from what they've seen. Maybe other people, there's a lot of what advocacy and a lot of things going on in that space. So
mm,
this is who I am. I am
mm,
myself, my true
mm,
self. And so that is the time when, as a parent, you accept there are things that are not within your control. You have done your part. Now
yeah.
that is not within your control. You can
Mm,
only now leave it to the higher power,
mm,
whoever
mm,
it is for you, to
mm,
take it up from
mm,
there and either change the person or you just let your child be. And that is a time when we know our children are autonomous. We brought them into this world, yes, but they are not us. They have their own preferences. They have their own, they are autonomous. So at that point, I will not disown you or say I am not your mother from now onwards. No, 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 no. You are still my child, but that's the path that you have chosen.
I'm not
All
part of
right.
it. Yeah.
There is nothing else from that. Yes. It's not an easy place,
It's a very
to be,
great.
but so many parents are feeling the same shoes.
It is. It is very true because you've heard of so many people
Yeah.
who have disowned their children, who have chased their kids away, and there is that, like, literally the family is broken just because of that. So now, as we wind up, the
Yeah.
freedom of choices.
Yes.
How much freedom is free?
The freedom of.
Choices, especially now for
Yes.
teenagers who want to decide to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So how much freedom is acceptable? Because I know even doesn't matter what you are, freedom must have boundaries. I mean, we are not in a jungle. Even jungles
Yes.
have their own limits. So
Have
how much?
your-
Yeah. So how much freedom is acceptable to a child, and how much freedom is harmful as we wind up?
Yes. Um, when there are no boundaries, these young people can run wild and do, you,
They're
and it can
unstoppable.
either be good and bad.
Mm,
So, um, when you need, there are times when a parent will need to put their foot down. I used to see in my house, as long as you're under my roof, we have that kind of statements. So
it
this
is.
is how you
Mm,
behave.
mm,
Okay. This is
mm,
how you behave. Then
mm,
once you are out of my space, you will know what to do with yourself. It will be up to you now. So I
mm,
think it is important to guide and to put boundaries again, and not also taking care not to suppress. There are some things that kids do, like I can color my hair green or
yeah.
yeah, whatever color. Maybe I'm not in school, or it's
Mm, mm,
it's a long holiday or something like that, and
mm,
I wouldn't think that because I colored my hair or I
yeah.
put dread a long time ago, if a child had dreadlocks, they could not sleep
Especially
in
in
that
our
house.
homes, it's impossible.
They could not sleep in that house. In some homes, girls would not even put on trousers, you know,
Mm,
because of whatever that thing meant to the parents. But
mm,
parents should know whatever maybe putting on a trouser means to me is not the
mm,
same as what it
yeah.
means to my daughter. There are some
Mm,
children who cannot talk to a person of the opposite sex. There are some
mm,
homes ukiona ukiongea na mtu tu hapo nje ya gate, oh my goodness, and then those women go and tell your mother, anga you are, hey, I saw whoever talking to whoever's son. You will be
mm,
killed almost and hanged, and that kind of thing. So they interpret it as very
yeah.
different. So it
Mm,
is important also to allow our children the space to grow, the space to express themselves, the space to find themselves. It is
mm,
in that, maybe coloring your hair, that
mm,
you're trying to find your style, you're trying to express yourself,
yeah.
singing some funny music, hiyo
Mm,
makelele sitaki kusikia kwangu, and that kind of thing. So I usually say for myself, if it is within the daytime hours and you want to listen to your
mm,
songs,
yeah. Mm,
listen to your songs. I would not be very much overly, unless the songs are really explicit or they have some very bad content. But, be yourself. There's a natural process of growth, and
Mm,
sometimes they skip that. These
mm,
things, they show up later. So just allow them to express themselves, but within, there are some things which is a no, no, no. Okay?
mm,
With
mm.
certain boundaries, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
All right.
the children, they have their own mind. They cannot think like you. We expect our
Mm,
children to think like us. Me,
mm,
when I was your age, and we start those stories, when we were growing up, when we were
mm,
youth like you or teenage, we used to do this and that. Ungenipata kama nimevaa trouser mimi ama nimesimama na boy ninaongea na yeye, you could not have found me talking to. Oh my
mm.
goodness, you are not them. You
Yeah.
are not them. Okay.
Mm,
So, and I found that some of these restrictions now, they drive them. So
overboard.
anytime they have a small leeway, they'll even
They
go and do what you are thinking that they will do. And that was
yeah,
not even part of their
whatever.
agenda.
Yeah. So,
It was not part of their agenda. So it's
mm,
really important that we strike a balance in that. And even
mm,
how we communicate to them also.
no,
There's a
mm,
parent who, Jumio, your daughter talking to a boy, you already start calling her big names, and she just
mm,
spoke to a boy. So why have
yeah.
you called her, you know,
Mm,
umemwita hivyo? And it reflects on the wounds in that parent.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
checking back and looking back, the
Mm,
child is seeing themselves. Hey, this is how I got teenage pregnancy. I'm seeing my
mm,
daughter getting the same. And if you take that approach, by the way, history is going to repeat itself.
it is true. Because most likely that's how
History
you
will
want
actually,
to, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
history will actually repeat itself. Yes.
Mm,
So
and you
good
know,
to have
yeah.
open conversation also, and to pour our lives into the children's life. Tell them the truth about yourself. Do
Mm,
not be this angel and you are not. No,
mm,
listen, let me tell you. When I was your age, or daughter, when I was your
mm,
age, and you calculate mine. I
mm,
got you when I was very young. And these are the
mm,
things that this is how
oh,
I fell in love. This cowboy came and told me, just share with them. Make
mm,
that space very, very open.
yeah.
And it
Mm,
will help a lot of things. It will really help to regulate that child. Yeah. And they'll have no need of lying to you,
it
by the
is
way.
true. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I can just say a bit of how that went for me when I was a teenager.
Mm,
Uh, both my mom and my dad were very open.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
So I think in class 6, I was about 12. That's when she taught us body changes, menstruation, these things. So she drew the whole picture of the uterus and everything. Just taught us how it goes. Okay. Nowadays, I do it earlier for my children because the age of menses has gone
yes,
really
going down.
down.
Mm,
So, and they were really open to us. Like, if it's about boys, you could just talk about anything. This happens, and this happens. So, because of that, and we could also ask them any question. We could ask them anything. You guys, how did you meet? How did it go? What your days? Which song were you dancing? And they danced for us very funny things. So,
mm,
and because of that open space, I think I was 16 and I made two decisions. One, I will
mm,
not lie to my mother or to my father where I'm going. I will always
mm,
tell them. I will not say I'm going to see Jane when I'm going to see John.
mm, mm.
Two
Wow.
decisions I made at 16. I
Mm,
also told myself I will not, any boy who comes pretending to borrow a book, but they want to talk to me. That one is not my thing. They
mm,
should just come and say, I want to speak to Paris. Is Paris in? Can I
mm,
speak to her? I want to
mm,
speak to Paris. They should
mm,
just be, I don't want a person who comes in through lies. Okay?
mm,
Because for me, everything was open. My parents
mm,
had brought
mm,
openly. So my
mm,
dad took us for long walks. Now uko Masaini, we lived in Ongatarungai. So now before it was built, and we used to talk about anything under the sun. So that openness is what made me realize, these other people are lying. They want CG books and
mm.
whatnot. Mm-mm. You have to
Yeah.
come and say, talk to Paris. Don't come. You see, so I made those decisions
Oh, okay. So unfortunately, I think we have lost Paris, but we were winding up and she was sharing to us the importance of openness when it comes to us interacting with our children at any point in time. And that is really what has helped her navigate through the teenagehood till the time that she thought she was ready to start making such some life decisions. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's it we have for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I did, and have yourselves a blessed night. Bye bye.